I know all of you are here mostly from the management perspective, management students. And what I am going to talk today is more about the technology part. And we will know why as we move forward from here. Right. So, any of you know what is IR4?
Jai Hind, sir.
Jen.
My name is Samarth Nathe. IR 4.0 stands for Industrial Revolution 4.0. It means fourth industrial revolution, in which all traditional practices are transforming, are getting digitalized.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? All right. Okay. So, IR4 is the huge movement currently going on in the industry. And as you know, uh, anything which happens in the industry, any management, be it HR, marketing, or whichever are the professions, if technology is not understood, the change is not understood, the impacts of this on the management will never be understood. So, understanding why IR4, what is IR4, is going to help you immensely in your future in terms of how to look at the systems, how how those got evolved and why they got evolved. So as of now, you are listening to a lot of agentic AI and lot of technology things. You are not listening anything other than technology these days. So if you are not aware of what is that is happening in the industry from the technology perspective, then you won't be aware of what is happening in the management also. So this is at the root of all the processes of the all the businesses which are happening in technology. So today we are going to talk about the change and challenge. Okay. So what are the changes and what are the challenges? What were the challenges earlier? How the earlier managements handled those challenges and grew the business. So once you know the trajectory of how big the changes have happened and how management has evolved out of the technologies which has been presented. So I think I will talk more about it, about when this all started, right? So this goes something like 2300 years back. Somebody called Chanakya, right? He wrote a book called Kautilya Arthashastra. This is known first economics book which we had few thousand years back. And what is written in those days of thousands of years back, is it still relevant? So what is that is relevant, right? So for example, he wrote Vyapar Dharma, no, business religion. So what is Vyapar Dharma? What is that you would want to know? Why is Vyapar in first place? Can anybody answer? Why there is a Vyapar? Why there is a business in first place? What is the main purpose of business? Who said what? Somebody said something here. To generate profit. Yes. That's the only thing. Okay? Everything comes. This is the goal. And this is the only goal. If there is a charity, if there is something which needs to be done for society, everything can happen only when you have profit. If you don't have profit, if you don't have money, you can't even do charity. So profit is the main and only goal for business. Everything, all the sciences run around this aspect. And the mantra of the Arthashastra is, what is profit? Price minus cost. It's that simple. Price minus cost. There is nothing else. It's not complicated. Hence, the business is not complicated from the terms of the thinking, how you want to do a management. all the management goals, if they are not driving towards either controlling the costs or creating a value enough to have a good price, there is not going to be any profit. So the goal is price minus cost, either reduce cost or increase profit or increase price. You can't increase price just because you want to increase price, right? Because there are competition, there is everything around. So you also have to reduce cost. Then all these discussions about productivity, etc., will even start happening. But this formula is the God formula of business. Simple to understand. Next, and this is mantra. Every mantra is supported by tantra. How to achieve it? So, this is the gist of last 2300 years. This is the tantra. What is the tantra? Innovate and execute. It doesn't matter in which profession you are. It doesn't matter what your role is in the organization. If you innovate and execute, then and then only you are going to contribute to the mantra. Right? So, only innovation is just an idea, it's just a thought process. It doesn't mean anything actually. Only execution is repetition of what has been happening since past. When you innovate and execute, then only you can start contributing towards the tantra or the profit. Now, 10,000 years back, I was walking and I found one stone carved here and it was written on that modern times. Do you believe me? No, right? Yeah, there won't be somebody who is writing modern times 10,000 years back on the rock, because then there was no language as well. But we actually had an ox used for agriculture. Was the first automation of using manpower to other muscle power. That was innovation plus execution 10,000 years back. And this guy thought that I have become modern. I have achieved the peak of automation, that an ox is now running for me. I need not. The thing which used to take a month, now I can do it in a week's time. It's a huge achievement. And those are the modern times for that particular farmer, right? Why? Now this is a revolution. Why? Because that is when the actual cultivation started, the agriculture started. People started working to manufacture food. Earlier it was not the case. Then people started having houses, homes, building around the agricultural land. The society started building, came from caves to homes. This was a big revolution for the mankind because of one automation. So I will call that an industrial revolution. It is my definition of industrial revolution, not anybody else. But next is something called use of horsepower, right? Even today's cars are counted on horsepower. Horsepower is how many horses are required to pull a vehicle. So the next invention, the Industry 1, happened when there was a steam used to move the from one place to another, which is steam engine. For the first time, people started living somewhere else and going to work somewhere else. Not where they are living, they are working there. They started traveling 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers away from where they are. And what has happened is, because the muscle power got transformed into a machine power, there is a huge change and that needs adoption. This was the basic change in economy. How people behaved, how people thought, how the cities were made. Steam, okay, by the way, just for your information, James Watt, who invented steam engine, he invented steam engine for the railways. Steam engines were there before James Watt also. Okay, and textile industry particularly, and iron industry or coal industry really started booming because you require coal to manufacture steam. And because you can manufacture steam and you have coal, you can boil the iron into liquid form, and that's why you can make other things. So industry got transformed in this, right? What is this? Good. And what else you can see as a transformation? Sorry? Conveyor belt, yes. And why conveyor belt? What happened from steam engine to here? What is the big difference? Electricity, right. What happened was electricity, right? This was sometime in 1880. Okay? And what you can also see here is a film. And a film is the outcome of electricity. And something big also has happened when you see this. Something started appearing on screen. Do you know the revolution? Something started appearing on screen. Then that was the revolution which has happened. And this became industry 2. You know, electricity gave freedom. People were attached to a steam engine earlier. So whatever was happening was around the engine, whatever activities are happening. Now you can have multiple different type of engines spread across somewhere, and people can work on the conveyor belt. That's how the mass production started. When Ford, for example, started manufacturing cars before electricity, he used to do that. When electricity was not there, cars were getting manufactured, and they used to take around 12 hours to assemble one car. That 12 hours has come down to something like 96 minutes. Huge change from 12 hours to 1.5 hours. Now, what are you going to do with this change? What has to change is the management. Technology has changed, but if management doesn't change, management of supply chain, management of marketing, because now earlier you used to manufacture only 3 or 4 cars a day. Now you are manufacturing 20 cars a day. If you are manufacturing 20 cars a day, they need to be sold, right? And if you don't do marketing, if you don't have that marketing plethora with you, if you don't have those organizations, how are you going to sell what you have produced? So the entire industry had to change by itself. That is where new term which was coined called standardization, right? That is where you started counting time, that how much time is required for which activity, how can you increase productivity, how can you increase eliminate waste. You know, those are the things which have started happening in industry 2. This change is not just an technology or industry industry revolution only for technology. This was a change for the mankind entirely, and that also changed how you do accounting. Why? Because you started mass producing. More you started mass producing, more inventory needs to be carried out, more purchases needs to be done, more cost needs to be controlled, more transportation of the vendors will start. So this industry started becoming bigger and complex. Tantra changed, mantra didn't. It still remained price minus cost, reduce cost. Now that you are manufacturing more, there is a more need to reduce cost, right? So the management aspects from steam engine or steam based textile industry to automobile based electric industry had to, it is not just technology, right? It is entire business, how it is managed, that needs to be relooked. So those people who were working in management as a steam engine or textile manufacturers had to make a big change from steam to electricity. They have to change their textile looms and dyeing and carding and all those textile related manufacturing processes from steam engine to electricity engine. It was as good as moving from computers to AI. It was as big as that. As big an investment, as big a change, and hence as big a change management. But that is what has happened in industry 2. So this part of industry 2 is there, lasted like till 1914. Okay. Now after 10,000 years, industry 1 happened in 1860 or something. Industry 2 took 100 more years to come to that kind of a revolution in the management and in the industry itself. From there, something weird happened. I call it as another type of green revolution. Again, the thing which was seen as a film on screen has come on entirely another type of screen called computers. And I don't know how many of you know, have you seen those green letters on screen? Those old computers were there with green letters and all that, right? So, yeah. So you know why that was green and not red or blue? Okay, because it was a technological change that phosphorus in cathode rays, in the tube of cathode ray, could glow. So one technology gave rise to something entirely different and not thought about. Phosphorus was there, but nobody thought that it can be used for creation of the new revolution itself. So the new screen got introduced, and that is called computers, right? And we started walking into something unknown. It was not known where the whole thing is going. So there was a fear. Now the computers are there, we are going to lose our jobs, right? Long time back when I was in college. And my fear was, once the computers are there, I'm not going to get job, or I'm not going to, I will be replaced somewhere, and the jobs are going to be less. And my next 40 years happen to be in computer. So it was a misplaced understanding about how technology is going to impact the business. Nobody could envisage what exactly is happening then. But there were 3 companies who actually shaped IR3. Okay, I mean, apart from the scientists like cathode rays and screens and everything, idea, which was innovation, whether it was done to execution, ideas were there, but IBM, Microsoft, and Intel, these 3 companies took an early advantage and converted innovation plus execution. They are the ones who started building computers like IBM, mainframe computers. Uh, uh, I don't even know whether you know, but do you know floppy disk? Have you ever heard of floppy disk? Okay. So do you know a big one? There are two floppy disks. Okay, the big one. How much was the memory of that floppy disk? 1.13 MB. That is where I started using computer. 1.13 MB. So how much data it can store? Right? But that is how the innovation started. Right? So from there, this got turned around by IBM and Intel. Intel came up with memory based solutions. Intel came up with chips, semiconductors, because it's electronics, right? The entire gamut had changed from a physical thing, a physical inventory, to something called information. And information which is available on screens. So that was the revolution. You know, from the, like how many chairs are there, I don't know, I will have to count. But if I get information that there are 200 chairs here or 400 chairs here, my time of analysis, my time of decision making reduced from counting this for 15 minutes to 1 second or 2 seconds. So information became the new currency in itself. Then another thing which has happened is products, steam engine or conveyor belt, they couldn't think. This guy could, they couldn't memorize. This guy can, right? They couldn't share the information, computer can, right? So what has happened is computing has left the laboratories and got into offices, homes, where the information is there. And then there started the connections also, like LAN, WAN, and now I mean lot of different networking abilities happened. Also what got started here, another start of another revolution which was not shouting from top in those days, but it also started as a startup called telephones, right? It is also electronics. It also got connectivity. But telephone and computers, this combination has really changed the entire gamut of how you really looking into it. Say for example, even the social media when it got created, do you know how internet got started? Who started internet? Who? Yes, US Army started internet. When US Army started internet, have they ever thought that there is going to be WhatsApp and Netflix? But they started it. And they never knew what they are starting, right? So inventions and executions doesn't necessarily happen with a particular vision. It evolves, and who evolves them are the managers. They understand how to leverage this technology. They understand which business processes, which processes has to be leveraged by the available technology. Otherwise, even if you know telephone, even if you know computer, still internet would not have happened unless you know that how to utilize it. So again, here the main thing which has started happening is scheduling or planning or calculations, yeah, various type of formulas, if not calculator but the supercomputers. All that has created a huge industry called IT industry. Then it became a revolution number 3 because it impacted the entire society economically, organization structures changed. I used to work in a company for 8 years as a production planning head, and now I can't believe that I worked for 8 years as a production planning head without an email. Forget phone. I never knew what email is. But I was running a plant of Thermax. How? I don't understand today. Once I am out of my factory, even if factory is on fire in the night, I will know only in the morning when I reach there, or maybe if somebody calls me. So the speed of business was limited even after computers. So this transformation requires organizational structural changes. It required to create an organizational structure which was very different from industry 2 organization structure to industry 3 organization structure. Different type of professions came up, different type of processes has come up, different type of market has come up, right? Seasonality like things. Earlier seasonality was limited to कि May है तो mango है. Now it has changed to the seasonality of अगर May है तो airline की booking ज़्यादा होने वाली है. The whole concept of demand, supply, seasonality, people how they think has changed drastically because of this revolution. Now, oh God, headache. Can you see that on your right hand side? That was my life. Screens, 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 explosion of screens. Earlier it was only Charlie Chaplin screen, then maybe a green screen. Now this is computers and screens everywhere. Explosion of information. Everybody is trying to give me something whether I want it or don't. For example, Google. Whether I want it or don't, if I search for something, it will give me 100 things. I don't want, I am looking for something very specific. But then out of 100 sites, I will still have to look because there is an information explosion. And decision making became extremely important. I was working for on SAP, that is ERP implementation in Philips. There's one company called Philips. So they said that we want total 267 reports for our management, for top management, middle management, and this management and that management. And I calculated how much time it takes to read one report. Multiplied by 267 because each report is different, the content is different, and then that means 267 decisions to be taken. Because if there is a report, and if you don't take a decision out of your information which you have, what is the use of that information? There are 400 chairs here. That is my information. So, unless I know that there are 600 students, what is the use of knowledge of 400 chairs? Right? So, information needs a decision making. Then only organizations work. When you will start working in various organizations, you will be asked to give me this report, that report, this report. Start thinking why this report is required, what this report is going to contribute in my mantra. Is this report is going to help some decisions which will help reduce either cost or add value in the price? So whatever you do has to connect with the mantra. This is just a tantra. This is just innovation plus execution. But if it is not reaching the mantra, then this start become useless or less important. Then the question is, what is that you want? That is imagination. That is where real management skills get into picture. That what is your skill out of the information, what is that you are going to do, how do you imagine this data for the addition of some value add in the processes or in the industry, right? So it started as imagination age, and so many things started happening. Half an hour is over? Okay, thank you. So many started happening there that now 15 minutes. Yeah. That somebody for the first time in the world has coined, and somebody in 2016 in World Economic Forum called Klaus Schwab, who was president of World Economic Forum, first time he gave the name for what is happening in the industry, and he coined a term called Industry 4. Okay, that was in 2016. What he said then is Industry 4 is just not about technological achievements, but a fusion of physical, digital, and biological systems is transforming industries, economies, and society. This was the vision. He said that we are going to work with Industry 4, IR4 as a theme. And after he defined IR4, somebody decided that means this was IR3, that means this was IR2, and that means this was IR1. Nobody was counting कि अभी ये IR1 हो गया, चलो IR2 चालू करते हैं. It doesn't happen that way. Somebody defined, somebody understood the pattern of changes, the revolutions which are happening, and that needs to be identified for national budgets. IR4 was introduced in Germany for their national budget about how much to spend on industries on which technologies at a national level. That is the importance of IR4. It is not just a number. Like when World War II happened, then only we named, earlier was World War I, right? We never thought that, okay, now this is World War I happening, II will happen next. So nobody knew II is going to happen. So nobody called World War I as one. So IR4 is a recognition of pattern of how the changes are happening, what all is happening there. Who is this dancing? Is anybody there dancing? Is there anybody dancing? Yes or no? No? No, it is just change of black and whites. It's a dance of zeros and one. There is no man there. We'll talk about it a little later. So, Industry 4, earlier it was happening like, right? It was happening like all the revolutions were happening from the perspective that steam changed something, electricity changed something, electronics changed something. What did change IR4? What is that has happened? Which one thing got changed? So for the first time, world became complex, and it is not only one revolution or one trigger which created IR4. It required 4 different molecules to create that DNA of IR4. The one which was a data revolution, big data, like I was telling you, big data. Huge data was getting created in the last 2 decades time. Data on mobile phone, data on computers, data on your mainframes. Yeah, data in YouTube, data in here, data in there. Huge data, and that needs to be handled. So unless there was no data and there is no data revolution, Industry 4 revolution was not possible. This was one component. Second was the revolution which was a technology revolution. Now what was technological revolution is basically the revolution which happened in terms of the chips, microprocessors. They started becoming, as a revolution, the entire technology which basically conveyed like microprocessor to chips to IBM to Intel to that. So all these technological changes which have started happening was happening here. That had to happen for the next revolution. Third revolution is telecom revolution. This is what I was talking about. In IR2 or IR3, telephone was there, but the revolution was not. When it happened, when satellites started communicating, when something went up, started communicating, something like Wi-Fi, something like satellite communication, something like edge computing. So this communication device, the sensors, the interpretation of waves, those are the things which have started, and that's why the telecom revolution has happened. And the last was computing revolution. To process the data, a supercomputer, like I said, used to take hours and months to calculate something. Now in manufacturing industry, when you produce lakhs and lakhs cars, that means you also require crores and crores of spare parts or parts, and so many machines, and that needs to be planned. That requires money, that requires time, it needs to be scheduling, it needs to be purchased. So many suppliers are there in the process, so many buyers are there, dealers are there. It's a huge data required for one company to run a company, right? So processing of that data requires something which is far more important in terms of this. So what also has happened, notice that it is not enough just to be a mechanical engineer. It is not enough just to have become a CA. These professions started to integrate or talk to each other. The world is becoming complex. These four revolutions gave birth to IR4. Other than these four, nothing was possible in IR4 terminology. So everybody started wondering, what is this elephant of IR4? Somebody started saying that this is, cyber physical thing. Somebody started, it's nothing but automation. Somebody started saying, no, it is something which, AI has come, and this has been started talking to this, and LLM has come, etc. So what exactly is IR4, right? So earlier, this story of blind men and elephant, right? That, do you know or you don't? Because now I am telling something which is very ancient when I was child. Okay, so 7 blind men were given an elephant and asked that, what is this creature? So one man said that, this creature looks like some pillar. Another said, this creature looks something like, very sharp object. So that creature is only about that. Nobody could see and imagine the whole elephant, right? So similar to IR4, nobody could actually see what this elephant is. And if you don't understand what this elephant is, when you are going to go into the industry and talk about things, you need to know when somebody is talking about IR4, that means what exactly is talking about, because this is your life when you are going to work in the industry. So this animal, now we are creating something, a dancing man, which is actually not there. It's a illusion of a man. So you have to create an illusion of something like which is intelligent, which can sense, right? So these technologies needs to sense. They have the ability to sense, like eyes, ears, skin, right? Like sensors, vision systems, cameras, right? Or something like RFID or barcodes. These are the things which you can sense, like sensors and the heat, etc. The next quality which is required in that creature is connect. He should be able to communicate, talk, right? So how should he talk? That suppliers should talk to each other, employees should talk to each other, right? They should understand each other what they are talking about, right? So machine should talk to machine should talk to human should talk to machine. They all need to connect. That is called IoT, Internet of Things, right? So that such qualities are required in this revolution which are going beyond computers and start acting like some live thing. So it's connect. Third is think. Think. I have data. Take a decision. AI is think. Right? Digital twin is think. Create something which is not there. Simulate things. See how they are happening. And then take a decision whether you want to do it or not. Then act. Robots, cobots, automation, act without human intervention. So pick what thinking has happened. Now the matter is to take a decision and act. Move the material, manufacture the material, shift the material, stack the material. These are acting, and that needs Industry 4, something which will make sure that it will help human to do a better productivity. And last is learn, which is basically machine learning, right? Learn from experience, start getting experience, teach yourself, and then start taking decisions or say think or connect or anything of that sort, right? So these qualities are required for any technology to say that it is IR4 technology. And then these are, I would say, Navagraha of the new universe. These 9 technologies are the IR4 technologies, right? They are being deployed everywhere in organization, and whenever somebody says that we are having IR4 investment or IR4 strategy or IR4 based principles, these are the technologies. Now you can read to explain every technology differently, because we are not engineers here. We are not interested in technology here, but we understand what technology can do to achieve the mantra, right? This is the tantra. However is the jargon, it is still a tantra. So I get few customers who say that I want AI, or somebody says that I want machine learning. Question is why? Why you want machine learning? Is it going to add value in your price, or is it going to reduce the cost? If none of these are happening, don't go for machine learning. So you as management students, you as careers who are going to take decisions in the organizations, never forget the mantra. However jargon is thrown at you, business sense should always prevail. Be it in HR or marketing or finance, it doesn't matter. It's finally you all are working towards only one goal, which is profit. And for that, whatever it takes, you would do. I will obviously not explain all the technologies, because that is not important as of now in the audience as a context. But maybe I will just share a few trivia like AI. What is the daily use of AI? Like Google Map is AI. Okay. For example, the facial recognition is AI. Machine learning. All your selections, Amazon suggestions or Spotify suggestions or whatever you are, I mean, you are living machine learning in your daily life with Alexa and all that. So I need not, thank you. I need not tell that, right? Mixed reality. Like you're seeing something, and then on with a goggle like Google Lens, I can superimpose something more on this, or there is nothing and I can just wear something and see some rooms and some digital twins like thing, like IoT. IoT means like now Tata Motors, for example, you are driving, you bought a truck and you are driving that truck for next 10-15 years, and if your truck is somewhere in the Himalaya, okay, still Tata Motor Control Center will know where your truck is. And what is the attitude, how much is the power required, is the truck condition right enough to go in that terrain? All that is possible as IoT, and that is how the industry is being changed. Okay, so let's first now address this man. Are you able to read what is on this letter? Dear Chris, I have had a wonderful idea. Why not look for the machine which can improve itself? Feed it to the information and let it learn from itself. At present, of course, it is not feasible to construct anything like this, like a machine, but I should like to see that problem investigated. I think that eventually machine will do and can compete in all possible intellectual properties. Dear father, I believe that a time will come when machine will be capable of thinking. The question is whether we can make such machine that is intelligent as we are. And something. Letters, these letters are written in 1947. So he is talking of AI in 1947 as an idea which was not possible to execute, but idea was there. So this man, the dancing figure, started appearing in somebody's head as a ghost some 80 years back. He thought that there nothing exists, but machine itself can appear to be a man and can dance. There is no real man, a machine acting like a man. That person was Alan Turing. Okay, he is called father of AI. He is the one who first manufactured Turing machine, invented by abstract machine which can compute anything that is computable. Okay, so basically it's kind of a invention of computer itself, and that is called Turing machine in 1936, 90 years back. And then was the thinking called Turing test and compatibility test, etc., etc. He is called father of AI. Okay, so AI is not today. AI is execution today. Innovation has happened long time back. And he said that the real question is not whether machines think, but whether men do. That was his question, and which we proved right by taking 80 years from idea to execution. And then came the explosion of LLMs, is basically Alan Turing's basic idea of LLM and AI. Now, so industry 4 is what we are right now, and somebody is even talking about industry 5, which I totally disagree, because by now you know what means by revolution, right? What is the impact of revolution on the management and the society in general? So for next revolution to happen, there needs to be 6 different revolutions which needs to come together to form it, and this is path which we should be walking as we move to next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. This is how I see, because I am product of industry 2.5 onwards. Okay, so I have seen industry 2.5, 3, 4. So I am trying to imagine what 5 could be, and will it even be called industry revolution? It can be probably human too, who knows? Okay, so biological revolution, personalized medicines. Okay, gene editing, synthetic biology, longevity. This is manufacturing inside the human body, right? Quantum revolution is basically about supercomputers and quantum computing. Today what happens in a large computer, supercomputers of today, if they want to calculate some algorithm for the world about some stars, etc., it takes around 253 months today by using today's technology. But when quantum computing will be successful, that is going to do that in seconds. We are talking of quantum computers which will predict the weather and act on having the rains in next June, and what it needs to be done now. That is quantum computing, right? So energy revolution is there, financial revolution. uh, grasp what I'm trying to say. You know Bitcoin. It's basically a blockchain as a technology behind it. Cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin is a blockchain technology behind it. What is being done today is thinking money. You know what I mean? Money which can think by itself. You need not. It will decide where to invest, what to buy, what to do. It's a thinking money. Now, this is a revolutionary concept, but looking at the patterns of the world, it's possible to have thinking money. So, all your balance sheets and debits and credits and whatnot probably is going to go through a huge change in terms of how to look at the money itself. Okay, notes are not going to be there. It's all going to be digital money. And if it is digital, if AI can think as a digital, why money can't think as a digital? So I'll leave that thought to you. Space revolution is another thing. Earlier, only governments used to send satellites. No private like Musk and everybody is sending satellites. So communication is becoming very different now. Like because it is in the hands of private players. So they can use not only for science but to humanity, maybe for Africa or maybe for some deserts in Australia. You will find cities coming. You never know, right? So all these together, like Google Maps, CRISPR. I don't know whether you know CRISPR. It's a gene editing tool, and once it is known what kind of disease you have, take a gene, edit it, and fill it again, and the cancer is gone. And that is happening because of AI. Because in gene there are hundreds and thousands possible combination of proteins which it studies and identify that this gene is a problem in this man's body. So if you replace that, it will go. So probably even that happen. So I am deliberately avoiding industry 5 because I think it's a marketing. Industry 5 is a marketing. We'll decide whether it's an urban revolution or not. But history also teaches us something. Whenever multiple scientific revolutions converge, civilizations change, not only the industries, right? Okay. So I will not dwell much on this slide, but I will just read through some trivia. So these are the applications of those revolutions. Okay. So intelligent manufacturing, autonomous supply chain, or personalized healthcare. Okay, smart cities, smart not like smart cities what we are talking in India as a smart city, but smart as in machines running the cities, right? Programmable finance is what I was talking about. In 2027, tokenized asset like in AI could be 16 trillion market, tokenized asset, which is not there right now. But entirely different economy is going to get shape up because of this, and that is going to impact everywhere. How you pay, how your healthcare is going to happen, everything is going to be done based on that. Now, these are, I would say, just as an interesting phenomenon. I try to imagine which are those 10 possibilities which will be there in future for us. We will live in those possibilities, right? So 20 years ago, nobody knew smartphone, right? And today, you cannot imagine life without a smartphone. That's the truth. Did smartphone only improve the communication? No, right? It reinvented photography. It reinvented navigation. It reinvented banking, taxi services, food delivery, entertainment, education, travel, relationships, and work. Dozens of processes got affected, dozens of industries got changed. So if a person is sitting in the industry of traveling and if he doesn't know what is happening in the AI in Google Map, he is going to get out of the industry because that industry is going to take over. So you should be aware of what all is happening everywhere for you to know that. So the next smartphone movement may not be any gadget, to be precise, may not be one technology. So perhaps the company you will be managing in future will have more AI agents working under you than human. Okay, so HR will have entirely a new meaning for that matter. Okay, autonomous supply chain. There is not going to be procurement like I am. Please give me this at this rate. Machines are going to talk to each other. कि मेरे पास कितना inventory है, तू कितने में दे सकता है, अच्छा तू कितने में दे सकता है. Okay, I am buying it on this day, on this purchase order is released. Person will not get involved in purchasing, right? Or personalized healthcare. I think that in future hospitals are not going to get bigger but smaller, because there is going to be a predictive analysis of the health. Okay, there is some microchips or micro instruments which are going to get attached to your body. It will feel and sense things what is happening inside your body, and it will prematurely tell hospitals that this is what is brewing, please start doing something now. For example, now you are seeing iPhone is checking your blood pressure, right? But it is still at this is a very primary example of healthcare. Smart cities, I told you that signals will manage of their own. They will talk to each other, looking at the traffic. They will decide when to be green, when to be red, etc. Okay, so the bigger picture is that every previous industrial revolution transformed factories. This one may transform the civilization itself, and hence our lives, our jobs, our careers. Right? The future rarely arrives as an invention. Future doesn't arrive as an invention. It is completely a new way of living is what is going to happen. Okay? So you are getting educated in a very extraordinary time, if you ask me. Okay, in human history. Okay, first time a manager must need to understand artificial intelligence, quantum computing, climate science, finance, space, and human psychology. Not one thing you will be able to focus and thrive upon. You need to be alert of all the revolutions which are happening in the world to be successful. Not because you will be expert, okay, but because your customers, your employees, your factories, your competitors are going to transform by them. So if you don't, so 20 years from today, when history writes the story of next industrial revolution, will you be the one who watched it happen or the one who actually created it? You have those 6 revolutions in front of you. You have to be creative, you have to be alert, you have to think ahead and see what all is possible. Okay? So, going back, with a thinker, we lived more than 2000 years ago. We started with Kautilya, right? He taught us business exists to create wealth. Wisdom has survived kings, steam engines, electric computers, artificial intelligence, and it will survive next wave too. But one thing never will. The world's greatest opportunity will belong to those who can negotiate and recognize the change before it happens and before other person recognizes it. Right? So that is the thought which I would want to leave as a next steps or next world, how is going to look like. So we started with Kautilya as Arthashastra, as business, right, 2000, and we walked a long path. You know who is the man who is at the top? Do you know who is it? Okay, fine, you need not know, but he is Mr. Subbarao. Subbarao is an IIT gold medalist, and he also was Reserve Bank Governor of India, right? He managed money in India for 5 years. And this is a 10 days back, he wrote something in the newspaper which I would like to read to all of you. In the world shaped by technological disruptions, climate shocks, geopolitical tensions, and economic uncertainty, the capacity to absorb shock and quickly adopt may matter as much as rapid GDP growth. Ultimately, India's greatest strength is not the physical infrastructure alone, but educational excellence, scientific innovation, institutional quality, and social cohesion. Right? the true test of head of government is not necessarily what they accomplish during their tenure, but whether they prepare the country for the challenges which are lie beyond. World today is being reshaped by 5 powerful structural forces: AI, climatic change, geopolitical reconfiguration of the globalization, demographic transition. Question is India ready to navigate through these forces? And India is us, India is you, it's beyond, right? And very interesting which has happened, head of WhatsApp, CEO of WhatsApp, what is his education? He is graduate in philosophy. He is not an engineer, he is not doctor or anything, he is graduate in philosophy. Because he understood the trend, what it needs to have a social communication, how the world thinks, how the world behaves. He said that the philosophy graduate and the new WhatsApp CEO Kunal Shah is an exception. As AI reshapes hiring, many tech firms are now looking at humanity graduates. We are not looking for mechanical engineers now. Humanity graduates is something which we are looking for as we move forward. Something who can manage, somebody who can understand, has the wisdom of looking at those changes right from Chanakya, 10,000 IR1, IR2, IR3, IR4 and beyond, right? So, now I just want to leave this with you with one thought as we move forward. This elephant which we talked about, there is another elephant which is in the room with all of us. Okay, and that elephant is pollution. That elephant is clogging, wars, thefts, natural disasters, something which is happening in the air. Now the air is polluted, the sky is polluted with thousands and thousands of satellites. So, what started as an engine, a steam engine, right? That engine has taken a shape of another. The one revolution created issues for another revolution, and another revolution has happened because I want to access the mouse. Where can I access the mouse? Oh, there itself? I thought you have it. So, addressing this elephant in the room, it's I think our responsibility. If we are creating revolutions, we are also damaging something. So, can the technology also help in repairing the damage is also our responsibility, right? So, listen to this.
This railway track can hear elephants. Let me explain. For years, this was one of India's saddest problems. Elephants would cross railway lines inside forests and trains would not be able to stop on time. Because of this, we were losing about 70 elephants in the year in Northeast. So Indian Railways built something called Gajaraj, and the idea is beautiful. They buried a fiber optic cable along the track. So when an elephant walks anywhere near it, an AI reads those vibrations to give the driver an alert immediately, slowing the train down and saving the elephant's life. In just 8 months, the system sent almost 10,000 alerts, and on every stretch where it was installed, not one elephant has died. And here's what makes me proud. Around the world, railways use AI to make trains cheaper or faster. India is the first country using it for this, to make one of the world's largest railway networks safe for animals. AI with empathy, a beautiful Indian AI story.
Right? AI with empathy. It's not only profit, it's not only business, but beyond Vyapar Dharma, we need to adhere to Manusha Dharma as well. Thank you.